Next on our agenda is the Law and Licensing Committee report. Committee Chair Lear.
Have item number 11.2, which was a discussion of a request for a continued waiver of the 180-day requirement for 2 schools in Box Elder School District. And let me just note that I do work with Box Elder School District, but this was such a routine request that I did not recuse myself. The motion for the board is that the committee moves that the board approve the request for waiver from the 180-day requirement in R77-419 for Park Valley School and Grouse Creek School in the Box Elder School District.
Okay, the motion for the board is that the board approve the request for waiver from the 180-day requirement in R277419 for Park Valley School and Grouse Creek School in the Box Elder School District. Is there any discussion to that motion? I see none. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Board Member Belknap?
I'm an aye. Could the speaker speak close to their mics, please? Sorry.
Okay, thank you. Board Member Bolter?
Aye.
Chair Huntsman?
Aye.
That motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
The next item is 11.3, State Charter School Board Satellite Approval Process. And again, as you recall, this is an opportunity for the board to approve the State Charter School Board's process for approving satellite schools. And we had a considerable discussion about this. We asked the State Charter Board to even take further concerns back and work on them between last meeting, this meeting, which the Charter Board did as we requested and made some changes. The motion for the board is the committee moves that the board approve the State Charter School Board satellite approval process.
The motion for the board is that the board approve the State Charter School Board satellite approval process. Is there any discussion to that motion? Board Member Davis?
Vice Chair Cummins?
Yes, go ahead. Is that Angie Stallings?
I apologize. Yes, it is. Thank you, Vice Chair Cummins. I just wanted to, if Board Member Lear wouldn't mind just adding draft 2 on there, just to recognize that you're approving the updated version of the process that the State Charter School Board submitted based on committee feedback.
Okay, so
Yes.
the motion before the board then is to approve the State Charter School Board satellite approval process draft 2. Okay, discussion to that motion. Board Member Davis?
I was just clarifying that was the version with the changes in red that we saw earlier today, and make sure we get that one and not the first one.
Yes,
Correct.
I agree.
Okay, thank you. Okay, seeing no further discussion to that motion, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Board Member Belknap?
Aye.
Board Member Bolter?
Aye.
Chair Huntsman?
Aye.
That motion passes unanimously.
Item 11.4, School Leader Performance Assessment. This is a new rule. Actually, it's not a new rule. It's an assessment as part of a process or a program. The motion for the board is that the committee moves that the board approve the School Leader Performance Assessment and engage stakeholders in the development, adaptation, or adoption of a school leadership performance assessment.
Okay, the motion before us is that the board approve the school leader performance assessment and engage stakeholders in the development, adaptation, or adoption of a school leadership performance assessment. Is there any discussion to that motion? I see, Board Member Earl.
I just have a question. That current evaluation Is there a current evaluation system and process, or is this what we would be putting in for school leadership? I don't know who can answer that.
Is there somebody who would like to speak to that question?
Angie would probably be, I recollect that it is new, but
Okay.
I'd prefer that maybe Angie or someone else, Jennifer Thronson maybe, speak to this.
Hi, this is Lisa Young. I'm prepared to speak if
Lisa.
that's.
Yes, please, Lisa, speak.
Hi, Lisa Young. I am the Educational Leadership Specialist in Teaching and Learning. Thank you for this opportunity today. Yes, there is an existing assessment in place. The design of the assessment comes at the very end of the program and is separate from the preparation program. As a candidate, you go into a lab, you sit down, and you take largely a multiple choice assessment. The difference is this school leadership performance assessment will be embedded throughout the program and the clinical experiences. It's a portfolio through which the candidate works out in the field, develops competencies around school leaderships, uploads evidence of those competencies into an online portfolio, and that's how the assessment works. So the plan is that this school leadership performance assessment that we would work on developing over the next 2 years will replace the current assessments that we use.
Okay, thank you. That helped with the clarification. So,
And if I,
Go
if
ahead.
I can, Chair, that raises a question in my mind that we may have discussed, but if not, it's a new question. Asking, so this will now apply for the traditionally prepared administrators, but it would also apply to those, any administrators in public schools who are not prepared through a university program. How would that work and look? Or am I wrong? Oops.
Lisa, we can't hear you right now. If you want to check your mic and then start over.
Thank you. Thank you. My understanding is this assessment would replace the current practice and be used in the same context that the current practice is used. I would defer to Assistant Superintendent Darren Nilsson to add more if you have additional questions.
That doesn't quite answer my question. If Darren has something more responsive, that'd help.
Darren,
This
if you're
is, Darren
available.
Nielsen.
Yes, go ahead. Thank you.
Hear me?
Yes.
See if I can get my camera on too. Darren Nielsen, Assistant Superintendent of Student Learning for the Utah State School Board of Education. We that's a great question, Carol. If you remember, the origin of this request came through the school leadership work group that was organized by the board in late December of 2017, and they worked for the following year and brought this recommendation to the board, which you adopted about a year ago. And so there was a lot of discussion in that work group around whether all administrators would be required to complete this assessment. It's my understanding that currently administrators associated with charter schools are not required to have an educator license. And Angie might correct me if I say something that's incorrect here, which means they're also not required to complete currently the praxis test or potentially this administration, this performance assessment. It doesn't mean that once this is in place, there couldn't be changes made to statute that would continue to support the desire for some people in our community to allow individuals to come through alternate paths and bring their skill sets into the school leadership position. Personally, I believe that once we have a well-established, high-quality performance assessment in place, while it would support, as Lisa did a great job of explaining, it would be embedded and support our preparation programs and standardizing and making improvements supporting improvements in their programs, it seems reasonable that at some future time you could continue to utilize this to support alternate paths to the school administration and make that available. But it's my understanding right now that's not the case for certain administrators in the state of Utah.
Thank you. That's a helpful answer, and that makes me want to pursue something in the future. So thank you, Darren. Did we vote on that?
Not yet.
Oh.
So seeing no further discussion, the motion before the board is that the board approve the school leader performance assessment and engage stakeholders in the development, adaptation, or adoption of a school leadership performance assessment. All in favor, Board Member Belknap, I missed your hand.
I'm sorry, Chair. My question is Lisa stated that there was an assessment all along. Is this for all administrators? Because I honestly don't remember having to take this assessment at a state level. Or is this replacing the praxis?
Chair, would you like me to respond to that?
Yes, please.
Yes, this is replacing the praxis. So our prep programs currently have different ways of using portfolios during their coursework, but this would actually become a more formal assessment and replace the praxis so that the assessment is actually over time based on competency development for our candidates.
Follow up. My question is, how did the higher ed weigh in on this? What are their thoughts on this?
That's a great question. We're working very closely with higher ed, both on the specific competencies that they feel should be addressed in the performance assessment. And they're primarily very supportive of this assessment. They did like the additional timeline. If you look at the board backup, we actually have a 2-year proposed timeline. The first year to really make sure we get those competencies really dialed in to what the preparation programs and our districts really would like to see assessed in brand new principals before they assume the role on day one. And then there's a second year to take what we know and actually design a really, really thoughtful implementation plan, a selection and an implementation plan, so that there will be this refinement process with our preparation program, with our LEAs, and then they're also dialed into a larger community of stakeholders that they do program improvement with in addition. So we'll bring all of that in over the next 2 years so that the assessment really is a Utah-based performance assessment that reflects the values we have as a state for our principal development.
Thank you.
Board Member Davis?
I just want to make sure, I clarified this earlier, kind of offline, but this is grandfathering current administrators. So this would just be for new upcoming administrators. I just want to ask that question in the public meeting and get that answer on record.
Chair, would you like me to respond?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Yes, there is a grandfather process. That'll be part of that careful year of the selection and implementation planning, that it is grandfathering. It's separate. It'll be a new system going forward.
Okay. Thank you.
Did that answer the question?
Yes, thank you. Okay, the motion before us is that the board approve the school leader performance assessment and engage stakeholders in the development, adaptation, or adoption of a school leadership performance assessment. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Can I interrupt? So sorry.
Oh, yes.
Director Thornton, I apologize for abruptly interrupting. The motion on the table isn't quite accurate as to what the board is making a motion for. It makes it sound like you're approving an assessment where what's actually happening is you're approving staff to go ahead and engage with stakeholders in developing, adapting, or adopting an assessment. And so we have some proposed motion adjustment language here if you would be so inclined to take a moment and see if that makes more sense. We just want to be clear about what the board is actually approving today.
Do we need a board member to bring forward an amendment? If board member or Chair Lear, would you be willing to bring forward
Sure,
as an
I
amendment?
would. So the amended motion is that the way to do it? The
So, yeah, if you'd like to make an
And I
amendment.
can even read it from here, thank you. The amended motion is that the board supports staff in partnership with stakeholders to develop, adapt, or adopt a school leadership performance assessment.
Okay, so the amendment, is there a second to the amendment? Okay, the amendment before us is that the board supports staff in partnership with stakeholders to develop, adapt, or adopt a school leadership performance assessment. Is there any discussion to that amendment? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Board Member Belknap.
Aye.
Board Member Bolter.
Aye.
Chair Huntsman.
Aye.
Okay, that motion passes unanimously. Okay, so then back to the main motion is that the board support staff in partnership with stakeholders to develop, adapt, or adopt a school leadership performance assessment. Any discussion to that motion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Board Member Belknap?
Aye.
Board Member Bolter?
Aye.
Chair Huntsman?
Aye.
That motion passes unanimously. Okay. Thank you for the last minute correction. Okay, we have a time certain
We have
at,
one- or did-
correct, yeah, we have a time certain at 1:30, so if you want to eat lunch, we're going to come back to the remaining item on the Law and Licensing Committee after we address the time certain at 1:30, which is the school turnaround agenda item. So hold where we are. So we will pause for lunch until 1:30 p.m. Thank you.